So we're going to be talking about Black Clover from where I last left off to where we're at right now. For starters, where I last left off, there was something that people was talking about that was an ass pull, and we'll get to that in a second. But I wanted to compare something, and I'm going to mention a bunch of other series. We're 106, I want to say, chapters in right now, Black Clover, right? And where we're at right now, in one of the latest chapters, if not the latest chapter, if I'm not mistaken, one of them anyway, we find out that Asta and Yuno, and in fact, no, I think it's chapter 105 that it was revealed, they're pretty much two of the top dogs right now as far as their contributions to the kingdom and everything that they've done. Their groups are 1 and 2, and it's mainly because of them and everything that they've done. Now, you could argue it's because groups in the kingdom are just lazy in general. People don't want to do shit, and these two want to get shit done, so that's why they did it. But nevertheless, where they're at right now, they got so much shine. In 100 chapters, their two groups are the top dogs of the entire kingdom right now, and their goal, of course, is for them to become the Magic Emperor at some given point. But I was thinking to myself, 100 chapters in and they're pretty much kind of top dogs already. That's very quick, and it's making me think Black Clover isn't going to last that long, because maybe it's the change of times. It could attribute to that. But I was comparing some of the other long runners and where they were at right now regarding 100 chapters in, and Black Clover is way quicker than all of them. One Piece, they were about at Laboon. 100 chapters in, they were at Laboon, which Luffy didn't have that much notoriety at that point. His name was somewhat out there, but he wasn't nowhere near. Like, Luffy didn't get to that point of being really recognized until he became part of the worst generation. So 100 chapters in, Laboon, he wasn't nowhere near where Black Clover is right now regarding not quality or anything like that before. Don't even compare. Not quality. I'm talking about as far as the advancement in the story goes, which again, the faster something is paced isn't always the best thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing in a sense because that means it's skipping out on things. So Luffy wasn't there. He was at Laboon. Naruto, he was in the Chunin exams, and if I'm not mistaken, right around that time, he was just about to fight Neji. So nowhere near where at the end of part 1, shit, Naruto wasn't even recognized until like Pain. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't really up there with his name out there until like Pain, but he wasn't even, you know, at least had the fight with Sasuke where people would say like, yo, he went in to get that traitor back or whatever. Like, none of that. So Chunin exams, Naruto versus Neji. Fairy Tail, Loxus arc. Again, not that far in at all. 100 chapters in, they were just about to start the Loxus stuff. Hunter x Hunter, they were at the Phantom Troop bit. Again, not that far in, whereas like the Chimera Ant arc arguably is where I felt that's when Gon really started to get up there and people started to really recognize him. But yeah, the Phantom Troop, the beginning of that shit, he still was nowhere near where, again, being a top dog would be. And then in Bleach, we was midway into Soul Society, if I'm not mistaken. I think Ichigo was about to fight Kenpachi. So with bringing all these comparisons regarding the pacing, it seems as though Black Clover, again, is going really quick, and it might not have that much of a long lifespan. Its longevity, I think, is definitely determined on how big the anime goes. Because if the anime doesn't really attract that many people into it, because Black Clover does decent, you know what I'm saying? It does like about 100,000 first week, around there. And overall, it does okay for not having an anime, but that's kind of iffy. And honestly, I feel as though to a certain degree, it makes me feel like, because Black Clover, if you're coming into the story, you don't know about Black Clover, it's enjoyable, but it's more so like a fairy tale in a way, where, and what I mean, it, like the series Fairy Tail, not like, oh, it's a fairy tale, it's a magic, no, it's kind of like Fairy Tail in a way. And if you're coming into this, you should know that it's not the greatest written. It has really cool art, some cool scenes. I like some of the characters, but it's not all that. So where we're at right now, that was a little bit disappointing to me to find out that they're that far in where we're only 100 chapters in, you know what I'm saying? Like they're top dogs. So we had that. Now, in the beginning of this video, I was talking about there was an ass pull that I wanted to talk about where the witch got defeated by Vanessa and Noteka, and Vanessa's power, people were saying it was convenient or whatever. To be honest with you, I didn't feel like it was an ass pull because it was already foreshadowed. Had that not been foreshadowed for a long time, I would have been like, huh? But Vanessa's power was foreshadowed, so personally, just to completely cut that off immediately, I didn't feel like that chapter was an ass pull at all. It would have been a different story if it was just like, out of nowhere, hey, Vanessa's, you know, a special snowflake in the wind. Nah, that's not the case at all. It was foreshadowed. So that part right there, it wasn't on the fairy tale level where like, oh, I'm mad or whatever. It was like, and it also had some sort of drawback to it. It showed as though, because what I'm referring to is the whole cat thing where it was kind of changing destiny in a way, like something was supposed to happen, but the second the cat touched it, it didn't happen anymore. The cat has to actually touch it, you know, be within physical contact in order for the destiny or the events to actually change. So there's a drawback to that as well, and I'm sure there's more to it than just that. But personally, I didn't find that to be an ass pull. It was a little convenient in a sense, but it was foreshadowed that she's, you know, a gifted person. So that arc in and of itself, there was some drawbacks to it. There was a couple of characters and villains that I felt like they had a major turnaround out of nowhere. I'm like, how the fuck is what? But it was alright. That was a pretty decent arc. Then from there on, honestly, I want to say quite a few chapters of like celebration and shit like that. Black Clover's kind of just been it went like for a month, I want to say, maybe at the very least three or four chapters where it was just kind of like we're at a festival celebrating, and it's leading into a tournament, which I'm curious to see where that's going to go and how they're going to play that out. But we had about a month's worth of chapters where it was just kind of like, why are we just having slice of life, two chicks having a drink off and shit like that? I'm like, huh? Like, that's something that kind of slowed down my hype for Black Clover personally. Because I like to do these videos from time to time where I talk about the recent events and shit like that. But there's been a handful of chapters where, you know, even the art to a certain degree has just been, and I believe the author, Yuki Tabata, which I'm a fan of his stuff because he has a great and unique art style. And also he did Hungry Joker before Black Clover. But sometimes, I don't know, there'd be like a page or two here and there in almost every chapter where it seems as though he can't get finished in time. And I feel as though with an author especially like that, newcomer and stuff like that, there's no excuses. Like, if Eiichiro Oda is working like a monster to get shit done and look beautiful every time, either the author of Black Clover needs to get more assistance or something, because yeah, there's people that are doing way more work than even him and they're getting shit done. So that's been a little bit disappointing as well. And again, getting to that point where they're top dog, so to speak, in 100 chapters is a little ridiculous. We're seemingly going into a tournament now, but Black Clover, past 6 or so chapters, 4 chapters, 5 chapters, however many it's been since the end of the Vanessa arc with the Black Witch and stuff like that, it hasn't been all that. And it's kind of like, except for Yami. Yami, which I mentioned in my last Black Clover video, the character Yami is the character that I still fucks with, and I'll say, like, Yami, best thing in Black Clover. Like, the character that I will say, yo, you take Yami out of Black Clover and you put him in a really, really awesome and good series, that's where he belongs. Because Black Clover, again, it's enjoyable. It's like Fairy Tail. I'd argue that it hasn't had nowhere near as many ass pulls as Fairy Tail, although it's not high quality stuff. And to be honest with you, like I've said in previous videos, Black Clover does seem to copy or do very similar things on other shonen tropes and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I've been feeling about Black Clover lately. It's like, hasn't been all that for the past, I mean, the arc before this, the Black Witch arc, was good, but again, it just seems as though 100 chapters and the gold team, which they're always number one, but mainly because of Yuno, and then the Black Bulls go from dead last having negative points to number 2. I think it would have been more suitable if Asta's crew was maybe like number 5 or something. Like they broke in there and Yuno's team for the first time is like number 2 or the first time in a while. That at the very least it shows they have somewhere to go, somewhere to reach out to. Now it's kind of like the only thing Yuno really has to worry about is maintaining having his group be number 1, and Asta has to worry about getting to number 1 and surpassing Yuno, but it seems too quick, and I'm kind of like, Aside from that, the one other thing that really happened that was somewhat major is we finally got to see the King of the Kingdom, and it seems as though the system, the government, I guess, or the royalty, because they don't even have a government, they have like a king or whatever. He was a cunt, he was an asshole, and it's disappointing in a way because they want to become the Magic Emperor, but it's not like in Naruto where the Hokage is the end-all be-all. It's like, again, more so like Fairy Tail is like the headmaster, or, you know, the master of the guild, so to speak, is still under a king, opposed to the Hokage. He rules over all, and, you know, etc., etc. Although I guess Naruto does have a government in a way, the old people, so there's that. But I think the king being in place definitely has to be a goal that they set out to get rid of, because the king is an idiot, he's an asshole, he's pointless, and he'll do anything for power. So that's something that I feel as though whenever Asta, which more than likely he's going to become the Magic Emperor at some point, whenever he gets to that point of being a Magic Emperor, they need to get rid of the king system because he's pointless and he's useless. You know what I'm saying? He's a dick on top of that. So who knows? Maybe they could change the goal to one of them could become the Magic Emperor and one of them could become the king. There's a possibility there. Maybe, you know, Asta could become the Magic Emperor and, you know, the king, or vice versa, depending on where would you want to take it. So maybe that's where they're going to go with it. I don't know. But as I said, Black Clover hasn't been all that exciting since the end of the Witch arc. We're going into something new, but it's like, Black Clover isn't that exciting unless we're into some intense battle, and that's a shame, but that's, I guess, the way Black Clover's been structured. It's like, if it's not into an exciting arc, if it's just slice of life, it's not that entertaining, opposed to other series where you get to slice of life stuff, and sometimes it's great. It's enjoyable stuff, and it builds character. This one is like, What's your overall thoughts of everything that I just talked about? How do you feel about a manga being 100 chapters in and essentially being way further than a lot of the other of its predecessors were? It's kind of like, it's not a good thing, what I'm saying. And your thoughts of Black Clover thus far. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.